Welcome everyone to the legislative session of Swarthmore Borough's Council, Monday, April 8th, 2019. A special welcome to our guest from Swarthmore College, President Del Smith. Hello, Del. Adam Hertz, head coach of the basketball team, Landry Kozmowski, athletic director, sorry, Mr. Hertz, and Landry Kozmowski, head coach of the team, and others. Sorry I don't know all your names, but really happy to see you. And of course, we're here to honor the really fantastic 2019 season that the Swarthmore men's basketball team had, making it all the way to the NCAA Division III National Championship game. Of course, winning the Centennial Conference Championship to get there, setting a new school record with 29 wins and a program record 15-game win streak. So it goes without saying, just about everyone in the Swarthmore community is very excited with the success of the team this year, and some of us actually had a chance to see you play a few times. It was really fantastic. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to our mayor, Marty Spiegel.
Before we do the actual ceremony and proclamation for the team, when I talked to Adam about doing this, we said, well, there are other teams up on campus that really have done some pretty amazing things over the last several years, and we don't want to leave them out. Now, what the basketball team did was really special. But I did ask if you'd kind of just send me a little bullet list of some of what the accomplishments of some of the other teams, just so you get an idea. We know that Swarthmore is an academic powerhouse, but they are really becoming an athletic powerhouse in many of the sports that they participate in for Division III. So just to give you an idea, the women's soccer team won their second consecutive Centennial Conference Championship and competed in the NCAA Championships for the 5th consecutive year. They advanced to the Sweet 16 for the second time in 4 years. This is all since 2017. The men's swimming won their second Centennial Conference Championships in 3 years. They sent a program best 5 individual swimmers to the NCAA Championships. Women's volleyball team made their first appearance in the NCAA Championships in 2017, advancing to the Elite 8. And they're the only team in the Centennial Conference to finish in the quarterfinals. The baseball team is currently in 6th place, although they had a loss this weekend, so that may drop them a little bit. The rankings will be coming out, but they're still doing they're doing really pretty well. We've had 7 coaches since 2017 that have been voted Coach of the Year. Coach Kozmowski being one. And let's see what we have. We had 6 players since 2017 that were voted All-American. And then we have all this academic All-American stuff. I mean, I don't have to tell you about the academic stuff going on in college. So I just wanted to make sure people knew that there's an awful lot of stuff going on up on the hill that we should be, number one, proud of and also taking advantage of, because the sports teams have been really exciting. But we're here tonight to honor basketball, men's basketball. They did something extraordinary this year. And most of us got to see at least some of the games. I didn't get to see the last 2 games because I couldn't get up to the campus and watch the live stream because we were out. And on Friday night, I was watching on my phone, and my wife asked me, she had this worried look, said, "Is there something? What's wrong? Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just watching the game." She said, "God, I thought you had to wear a suit here." It was a pretty exciting playoff. So if the team and the coaches will come up, the 2 representatives, and I'd like to issue the official proclamation. Peter Fago. Peter. Nate Schaefer.
Yes.
And Landry Kozmowski, head coach. So just to give you an idea in terms of real quickly, some of the statistics that they did this year. The team outscored their opponents by an average of 14.8 points per game. Their field goal percentages were almost 50%, 47.9%. That's pretty amazing. Their 3-point percentages were 38.3%. And their free throw percentages, which blows me away, were 71.3%. I mean, that's good coaching. That's good coaching. So, and finally, they out-rebounded their opponents by 7.9 points a game. Nate, I'm sure you were a bunch of those.
On occasion, yes.
So, we're here to recognize this amazing team. This is the fun part of being the mayor. I get to issue proclamations, basically addressing the achievements of organizations and individuals that have done something outstanding in our community, and certainly is one of those occasions. So, there's a lot of whereases here. Okay, so whereas the Swarthmore College men's basketball team achieved an amazing record of 29 wins and 4 losses in the 2018-19 season, and whereas head coach Landry Kosmowski and the entire coaching staff have provided outstanding leadership and have supported and encouraged the talents of all the team members. And whereas for the first time in the team's history, they advanced the NCAA Division Championship game, finishing the season as runner-up in Division III men's basketball. Whereas the team provided the school and the entire community with both an exciting season as well as an overwhelming pride in their accomplishments. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the power vested in me as mayor of the borough of Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, that April 8th, 2019 be declared Swarthmore College Men's Basketball Day in the borough of Swarthmore, and call upon our citizens to join in the celebration of the success of these students and coaches. Proclaimed and signed by me today, the 8th day of April 2019. Congratulations.
Cheers.
It's now official.
Okay, I'll give this to you. You can do it with it. Give it to whoever you'd like. One other thing that really, the championship game, they came up a little bit short. And I know about being short. They came up a little short on the championship game. They were close. There were times of the game that it could have gone either way. But they were playing a school that was 10 times the size in terms of there were 14,000 students at Wisconsin Oshkosh versus what, 1,400 now? 1,600 ours. So they're playing a school that's almost 10 times the size of our campus population. So it was a pretty remarkable showing. So thank you guys for the entire season, and we look forward to next year.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we do have a public comment period this evening, and this is it. So if there's anyone out there in the public that would care to address council, please come forward. There being none, the public comment period is closed. And we'll move on to my portion of the agenda, which should be very brief, and that is consideration of council meeting minutes of March 11th and April 1st. I move that we approve the meeting minutes for March 11th and April 1 as drafted. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, any changes, amendments, tweaking, anything? If not, let's have a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Next, Environment Committee, Lauren?
Sure. I have a couple things. One is the Environment Committee. Last time we met, we decided to recommend that Swarthmore look into either banning or charging money for plastic bags and straws in stores in Swarthmore. And so we're going to ask, kind of the AC to kind of look into it and just to really thoughtfully think about how viable that would be. Narberth instituted a ban recently, and we feel like we could follow suit, and we want to just be as thoughtful as we can and see if it's possible. I also wanted to say that it's time for the annual CRC stream cleanups, and that's the Chester Ridley Crum watershed. And in Swarthmore, it's going to happen on April 13th in 2 locations, the Crown Creek Park, and the second location now is the woods behind Cades. There's no name, but it's the woods behind Cades. And there's a little bit of a stream back there, and people throw their couches and things back there. So And then third, I want, about a year ago or so, when I was rummaging through the EAC ordinance, and found that there was a tradition of presenting an annual report for the EAC, and I thought that, and Elizabeth and I thought that would be a nice thing to resurrect, to just kind of, in honor of Earth Day, to talk about everything that the EAC did in the past year, and we'll make the report available. But Elizabeth is going to present it now. So thank you, Elizabeth Jenkins, the chair of the EAC.
Great. So I'm the chair of the EAC, and as Lauren said, as we were making those tweaks to the EAC ordinance, last year we were reminded of this tradition, and we thought this would be a good thing to bring back. Just for my reference, did you all receive a copy of the written report, or will that come afterward?
Afterward.
Okay, perfect. Great. So I would say, just at a high level, we probably had the most energy around recycling, because there was a lot of coverage in the news, as you all know, about the changes to the recycling market in China, and that's something that impacts our borough as well. So we did a lot of research in conjunction with the borough, and we're making the recommendations for how to move forward. That was something that was very, I think, interesting for people, again, being so topical. In terms of policy, we worked with Borough Council to have you all sign the petition for a cap and trade program to be set up in Pennsylvania. Just so you know, that actually is going to be going forward in front of the Environmental Quality Board on Tuesday, April 16th. So the petitioners are going to be presenting at that juncture, and the EP will also make a presentation. And then the EQB will either accept the petition or reject it for further evaluation. And then we also did a couple public events. So we did an event about water quality. There was some conversation on next door Swarthmore, actually, just with people having questions about our water and water quality generally. So we organized a Q&A with a local citizen who was an expert on water issues. We also talked about the installation of the LED streetlights in the town, and then did a couple of booths at local events, the Swarthmore Eco Arts Fair and the Farmers Market. And I would say that in terms of the materials we developed and the conversations that we had, recycling was a big one in terms of how to recycle right. You know, what kinds of things you can do to reduce contamination and make sure that your recycling is actually being recycled. But also, we put together some information on environmentally friendly options for mosquito prevention in your backyard and so forth. And that was something that I think was quite interesting to a lot of people. And of course, we organized 3 volunteer work cleanup days at the Little Corn Creek Park, spearheaded largely by Susan Kelly. And just generally, I would say, in terms of people's reference and information, we also submitted some data to the US EPA's Green Power Community Rankings, of which 92 communities participate nationwide. And we rank 39th in terms of the percentage of green power used, and this is everybody, not just the borough, but everyone in our community, so the college and residents. And then 67th in terms of kilowatt hours actual green power usage, because obviously we're a smaller community. At any rate, we'll be also sending a more detailed report to you for your review. So if you have any feedback or questions, feel free to get in touch with us. We're more than happy to reflect back on our work last year, and also this year, as Lauren said, we're particularly interested in exploring how to reduce single-use plastics. And so that would be both education, but also working together to maybe pass an ordinance similar to our RIP, as Lauren was saying, regarding banning or charging for plastic bags, and then also potentially banning plastic straws. So we had a booth actually at the Eco Arts Fair again this past Sunday, and did a little survey to get a sense of people's interest, and so far it seems to be pretty positive. It's obviously the Eco Arts Fair, so that's an audience which maybe particularly so. But we'll be going out to the farmers market as well as the fun fair as well, and we'll be asking people their thoughts. So if anyone has any thoughts or questions now, I'm happy to take them, but otherwise thanks again for the chance to present to you, and we'll look forward to working together next year, or this year as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Great
much,
report.
Elizabeth. Yeah. So that's it, yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Finance, Mike.
Yes, we'll start first with the financial report for March. One thing I'd like to point out is typically happens, and this is a period where we collect a lot of revenues from taxes. And as typically happens, there's timing issues. March 31st this year was a Sunday, so we did collect quite a bit the next day and week, such that basically the revenues, even though it looks like they're running behind schedule, are basically running the same as last year, if not slightly better. So it's a little bit misleading in terms of the revenue number, but that's typically what happens this time of year. In terms of expenditures, kind of going as expected through March. And our cash balance at the end of March was $2,363,995. Are there any questions about the financial report for March? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move on to wire transactions. I'm going to make a motion to approve wire transactions for the month of March 2019, totaling $2,425.39.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries and they're ratified.
Okay, and then moving on to open invoices, as hopefully people took a look at. The overall number is quite large. We have several significant one-time payments for the year. So the bills for the month total, and I'd like to make a motion to approve this total of $1,049,083.77.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have one question for the manager. The quarterly sewer CCA, did that go up or is it happened? Do you know, like we had some discussion about them changing?
It was higher than last year, yeah, it was budgeted higher.
Yes.
Yeah, so you'll see it's on budget, but the budget is definitely higher than last year, yes.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it.
And then finally, there were no inquiries for the Finance Committee for this month, so we're not going to have a meeting, but committee members, just a heads up, we're going to be working through some numbers, so I'm trying to send those around in terms of what we discussed at the previous meeting, but I don't think it's productive to have another meeting, so I think we can do it by email. Hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll have some tangible things to discuss, and then we can bring that to the full council potentially next month.
Thanks, Michael. General government, Sarah?
So what we have on the agenda today is the authorization to advertise the ordinance to amend the size and the duties of the Human Relations Commission. So did there need to be any discussion before?
We'll make a motion and then we'll...
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to authorize ordinance 1086 to be advertised.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We talked about it quite a bit last time, I think, so you gave a nice explanation. Thanks for that. Any other discussion? If not, let's have a vote. All in favor of advertising ordinance 2019-1086, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and the ordinance will be advertised.
Okay, thank you. And I don't think we'll be meeting, we're not going to be meeting this month.
Thank you, Sarah. Betsy, planning and zoning, anything?
Just that we heard from the Delaware County Planning Department. They will be meeting to officially review the senior cooperative housing ordinance on the 18th. But they sent us some comments, and so far it looks pretty good. So planning and zoning will be meeting this Thursday, 7:30.
Great, thanks, Betsy. Mary, public safety.
Thank you, David. First, we have Resolution 2019-3 that we talked about last week. This is for the lease purchase of a 2019 Dodge Charger sedan for the police department. So I'd like to make a motion to pass Resolution 2019-03.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
Okay, thank you. Next, I would like to move to appoint Swarthmore resident Conlon Booth as an alternate to the Civil Service Commission. Did everybody have a chance to see his resume that I forwarded around?
I think so.
All right, sorry, I've had it on. Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Second.
And I think we probably all got that email with his resume. Thanks. Yeah.
Just for the benefit of the public, he's a Swarthmore resident, a graduate of Strathaven High School, a graduate of the University of Pittsburgh. He's a first responder. He is a medic. He is a part-time firefighter with Radnor Township. I think he's just somebody who's very interested in serving the borough. He had actually put in an application to be mayor. So this is something he would really like to do, and I think he'll be a good addition to the Civil Service Commission.
Great. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and he's appointed as an alternate.
Great, thank you.
And thanks to him.
Yes. And then the final thing is we need to consider, and I just wanted to ask the solicitor again, the Civil Service Commission adopted these revisions at their meeting last week, but we have to now do a resolution to...
You have to approve what they approved.
Okay.
Both bodies have to. I think that the regulations have a signature page at the end of it, and that's the equivalent of a resolution in my book. So you vote on it and then sign it.
Okay, so did everybody get that email to them, what the changes are, what the changes were to the civil service regulations, and I can talk about it a little bit. It was to sections 4.4 and 4.5 that had to do with the scoring percentage on both the written and the oral examination for police officer. And prior to these changes, there was no minimum score on the oral portion of the exam. So now it will be 70%. The written portion was always 70%, and if you score 70% or above and you're in the top 25% of the applicants taking the test, that's the written test, then you can move on to the oral portion of the exam. And then it's again 70%. You have to be in the top 25% to go on to the next level of testing. So that's what those changes were. So I need to make a motion to approve the changes, the revisions to the civil service regulations, specifically sections 4.4 and 4.5 having to do with the written and oral portions of the test.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just that the committee supported it.
Yes.
Maybe that's how this came up as a need, like it seems like a good idea.
And Ray is welcome to address it if it's okay with you, but I think just to make sure that we were getting the best possible people who took the test and to not have any kind of a standard at all on the oral part, it just didn't seem like a good idea. Ray, did you want to say anything else?
Just to mirror what you're saying, every portion had the 70%. Even the physical agility test is set at the 70th percentile. You had to achieve the 70th percentile to be able to pass the physical agility test. And I think it was just an oversight that the oral board didn't have that, so it was just a correction, really. And it is standard across the board with most police departments.
The 70%.
The 70%, yes.
Any further discussion? If not, let's have a vote. All in favor of approving the amendments to the civil service regulations, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. They're approved. Now, well, do I have an execution copy of this?
No, I think what we'll do is I'll do a new copy, and then once it's done, you can sign it.
Because this has track changes and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, no, it
Okay.
hasn't been, we'll put it in the
All right.
official document.
Great.
And the front will have a cover, you know, the revision date.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jan. All right. Anything else?
Just that we will be meeting next Tuesday, the 16th at 7:30 p.m. here at the Public Safety Committee. That's it.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Ross, Public Works, Parks, and Recreation.
Nothing to follow up since last week's report on the committee. And the manager can report on the sanitary sewer bids and the advertising for street. So we have two things to approve, and maybe you could tee it up for us.
I mean, it's just, I think what we discussed last week, they're going to have a copy of the letter from the engineer. I hope I have it in here recommending to have that Ross, the,
Yes.
who to award the bid to. I know one of them is AJ Jerk, and the other one I actually didn't bring in that folder with me.
North American Pipeline Services.
Hello there.
Yes, North American Pipeline.
And you could do contract one separately from contract two, because they are different bidders.
So as you remember, this is where some of them are going to be repaired, some of them are going to be lined, some of them will be replaced, some will be lined.
Right.
So that's the first thing, and that, I guess we just,
Yeah, I just want to, motion
Yeah.
to award the bid.
yes,
Or
so,
award the contract, what do you prefer?
To award the contract
Award the
to
contract.
XYZ bidder.
Yeah.
okay, so move to award the contract to AJ Jurich. There was a base bid of $116,281, the alternate bid of $29,312,
And we were going to do both of those.
and yes, and then also North American Pipeline Services, the base bid of $195,000. So I so move that we award those contracts.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor of awarding the contracts to AJ Jurek Inc. and to North American Pipeline Services LLC as described, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None are opposed. The ayes have it, so the contracts are awarded.
And then the second thing was the road paving program, and there was one change since our committee meeting, which I think the committee is aware of. Jane circulated something about it.
Yeah, there were some streets on the list that I circulated the first time. And as we always do, we send letters to the utility companies to see if they're planning any work, exactly where we're planning work in this time. And it usually works out to our benefit, because once they're done with their work, they come back, finish the trench, and then rather than paving half the road, they give us the money that they would have spent paving half the road, until we essentially have somebody else paying for half of the work. So Aqua, it turned out, was doing quite a bit of new pipe installation on Dartmouth Circle, Dartmouth Avenue, and Crescent Lane. So we took those off the list and added Swarthmore Avenue between the Wellesley and the crosswalk to the swim park, which is pretty beat up. And then Ross had a really smart idea, which was to put a raised, see what it would be, whether it would be possible to put a raised crosswalk, because that is an area where people have said they have a hard time crossing, but we can't put a lot of physical barricades there because of the train tracks. And you certainly can't tell people that they have to stop on the train track. So that would create a lot more visibility. So the engineers are looking into that, which has an answer for us pretty soon. And then we sent letters to all of the residents. Bessie Street is on there. And the only thing I got was one call talking about raising the gutters, which was great. Well, that's something we'll be able to do. We don't actually raise the gutter, we just mill the street, but it looks like we raised the gutter. So right now all you're approving is an authorization to advertise. And we have to do this resolution for county aid. The county gives us just under $8,000 a year, but we have to pass a resolution, submit that to the county, and PennDOT before it can be approved. So we can do that probably together.
So I'm moving that we advertise the street paving program and that we also authorize Resolution 2019-04, which is the application for county aid in connection with that.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion?
One comment I want
Yes.
to make is that the intersection by the elementary school was really ripped up by a lot of road work, and if you've driven by there, it was really crummy, so that intersection is going to get worked on.
Right, and actually it's another situation where rather than having PICO, because they were doing gas work there, do the final work, they're just going to do their trenches. And then they'll pass money that will help the paving project, and we'll go ahead and do the intersection ourselves as part of our paving program.
Just wanted to add that in there so we get more support.
It does look good.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Ross.
Yeah.
Good add. Any other discussion? If not, let's have a vote. We're voting on to authorize the advertisement of the 2018 street paving program and the adoption of resolution 2019-04, which is an application for county aid. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The street paving program can be advertised, and resolution 2019-04 is adopted. Anything else, Ross?
That's all. Well, we'll have our regular meeting.
Regular
which is April 25th at 8:30 in the morning.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other business members of council have to bring forward this evening? If not, we'll move on to the mayor.
Well, I had a lot of mine to say at the beginning of the meeting, but I do have a few things to add. First of all, I wanted to thank people that came out yesterday for the town center cleanup day. It really was very successful. A lot of the gardens got work done, and the town center certainly looks cleaner now than it did before. And then there was a little party at Warehouse, so thanks to Rob Borkstrom for opening up Warehouse, as he always does for these kinds of things. So thanks for those who put it together and those that participated. And I also wanted to thank Rick, leading the fire department, for being so hospitable to me. I went to their last board meeting last week. And I really encourage those of us that have not had much contact with the fire department outside of having them come here and ask for support, to, if they have an opportunity to sit in on some of the meetings, I'm sure that you'd be welcome. And it was an eye-opening experience to me. First of all, I have to say how well, I was so impressed with how well organized and how well run the meeting was, how well organized it was, how knowledgeable those people that sit on the board of the fire department are about what they do. So it was a really interesting meeting, and I certainly intend to follow up and come back again. Also, with the fire department, donations are down. And I think it's really incumbent upon us to make sure that the public is aware that donations to the fire department are down. That's the way they raise significant amounts of their money. And I don't know if perhaps the Swarthmore would be willing to put something in. I can get together with you, Chris, just to mention to the public that we need to kind of encourage the people to donate when they can. So I'll write something up and get it to you. The electronics recycling and shredding event, again, it's happening Saturday the 13th. That's next Saturday at the Acme Market from 9 to 1 in the media on the Beatty Road side. So they won't take anything other than electronic devices and shredding. But for hazardous waste, again, that will be on Saturday, May 4th in Sharon Hill, the Emergency Services Training Center on Calvert Road. In Sharon Hill, that's May 4th. So this time it's just electronics and shredding. And let's see, finally, the Swarthmore Visiting Task Force met on Friday, March 29th. The individuals that they had awarded the contract to take a look at doing a feasibility study for what's going on downtown, met with the group and had some additional questions just to make sure that they could put together a concise and accurate report in terms of what they view as being feasible to do relative to Swarthmore coming up in the next foreseeable future and beyond. So that was it. And also I got to throw out the first pitch at T-ball this weekend at SRS Field, which was, it was a thrill.
How's your shoulder feeling?
Yeah, not as good as it did before. I was worried. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Marty. Jane?
I would like a brief executive session to discuss a code enforcement matter and potential litigation. Does somebody else have another?
I do.
You do?
It's a personnel matter.
Personnel matter. two executive sessions. Just a quick note on the recycling report. All of the borough's recycling is up significantly at the recycling center. That's what we have seen consistently. Many thanks to the EAC and a few steps for advertising using the recycling center. And trash is down, which is great. It's kind of what you want to see, both of those moving in the right direction. On that same sort of talk, I went at the end of March on a tour of the Republic Recycling Facility in King of Prussia, which is where the borough stuff goes. He didn't wait, he waited until the end to tell me that he knew that somebody had put a battery in the recycling and tried to set their facility on fire. He said, your stuff is usually pretty good from Swarthmore, but we didn't appreciate that battery that you sent over. So I was like, sorry about that, usually we're pretty good. But it was a very encouraging report. They feel that a lot of the reports that you're reading are a little overblown. They do not feel that the markets are completely collapsed. They're actively marketing materials locally to cut down on transportation costs. There were a lot of bales there, but they were very clean-looking bales of different types of plastic and aluminum and cardboard and newspaper. They do not think the borough should really look at separating material. At this point, the recycling facilities are really geared towards single-stream recycling, and they feel that they will be able to continue doing that. So that was a bit of a relief as the contract comes up to know that we will probably not be looking at any significant changes. It was nice to see them so enthusiastic about their business and the future of recycling, and again, not thinking, and our stuff is not going to a landfill. It's not. I mean, it was pretty clear that they were marketing the stuff that goes there. So that was really great. The other thing I did want to mention was cabinet placement on March 13th. I don't know if I mentioned this at the last meeting or not, but they are really very appreciative of what council has done so far. They're appreciative of the funding that council has given them. They have done amazing things with a pretty small amount of money. And I went to the meeting to talk about the work that you guys have done on changing the zoning code for some more things. So I do think, maybe it would be nice to get them in here. I know they're liaison. I guess they're kind of their liaison. To get them in again, and I just think they are very happy and appreciative, and I think want to do a lot more work because they feel a lot of enthusiasm. So thanks to them for letting me come and talk a little bit, and I think that's moving in a positive direction. And that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
Actually, I do have a quick question. With the touring the recycling plant, did they specifically comment on there being a market for the plastics? Or?
Yeah, I mean, these source-separated plastics, they are going to a variety of uses. They are separating the plastic. You see it, not the plastic bags, those are horrific for them. But if you go to their website and their material, they're mostly still asking for plastic with bottle, with necks. So I said, well, do you want me to put that out there? Like, well, no, we'll really take anything because they are finding markets for. I said, what about clamshells? Oh yeah, we can deal with that. So they do not, and I think I mentioned that I went to another recycling event at J.P. Mascaro, and they're doing a lot of work with different recycling materials. And there was somebody there from the plastics industry, and he said they're working to ways to reuse this material, both in things that we've all heard about, like asphalt, but even reusing material. The manufacturers are looking at ways of reusing material as long as we can get to a place where it's cheaper than buying virgin material. So yeah, it was not the end of plastic.
So we could be pretty confident that it's just Philly's recycling that's going into the
Philly's recycling was trash.
And not ours.
And our recycling is not trash. And again, that is the message they want to get out. We need to have recyclable materials. And he even said, really we don't mind pizza boxes as long as you cut out the parts that's dirty. And I'm like, well, we're done. That message is over. I already never got there. But I think literally you are getting food scraps and unwashed bottles and things like that. So they do not consider Swarthmore's recycling trash, and that's why they're able to use it.
That is encouraging.
Yeah, it was really encouraging.
Am I correct in remembering that you said once that they don't like the caps on the bottom?
They don't like them on the bottles, they don't mind the caps, they recycle them, but the way the machines work is, I guess it can be dangerous, so they like you to take them out, down.
Thank you, Jane. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great to hear that.
Yeah. Doesn't take much to recycle.
Forget spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Bob, do you have anything?
No, just we'll have a
Executive session. Okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn and then reconvene into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.